Good morning, New Brunswick, and welcome to the New Brunswick Today show for Thursday, September 22nd. Thank you for starting your morning with us. We're proud to be coming at you live from our studios here in downtown New Brunswick on our Facebook channel, our Facebook page. We'll be interviewing Teresa Vivar, the Executive Director of Lazos America Unida, an organization that represents the city's Mexican-American community here. Now, the great thing about our show is you can listen in the background while you read some of the great stories on the NewBrunswickToday.com website. You can see our top story, the cancellation of a student tailgate party at Rutgers University went national this week, went even international. We'll update you on that one in just a little bit. But first, today's weather. We're still seeing high temperatures in the hub city, where we are expecting plentiful sunshine today and a high of 84 degrees. Winds will be from the east at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Just one traffic advisory for you today. Wilcox Road is going to be closed until 4 p.m. as usual. We've got a really special guest today. Like I said, Teresa Vivar is with us. So to all of you watching live on our Facebook page, please do us a favor. Share this video with your friends right now. Now, to all of you out there watching us on Facebook, you can also comment on this video with your questions or feedback, as well as our Twitter account. That's at NB_today, and we'll actually respond to your feedback. Later today, this video is also going to be available on our YouTube channel, New Brunswick Today, as well as the NewBrunswickToday.com website. So thank you for sharing this video. Our top story today is the unmitigated disaster that seems like it's overshadowing Chris Christie's entire administration, Bridgegate. Now, one of Christie's cronies has already pleaded guilty to a federal crime for his role in purposely causing traffic jams at the George Washington Bridge. This week, prosecutors began making their case against Bridget Kelly and Bill Baroni, two others accused in this scheme, but they also went hard against Governor Christie, who has not yet been charged. The prosecutors said in court that Christie knew about the illegal lane closures at the GWB while they were going on, even though he later claimed not to. Now, it may shock you to hear, right? The federal government is basically saying that Governor Chris Christie lied to cover up these crimes. I know it's shocking that the governor may have lied. In other news, the Rutgers athletic director, Patrick Hobbs, apologized for drinking a beer in front of a crowd of students he was addressing at a tailgate party. Now, internal tensions at the university apparently ran high between those inside the athletics department and those outside of it, and ultimately, the school's administration led by President Bob Barchi, stepped in, overruling athletics and canceling the alley, the student-oriented tailgate, altogether. Now, this story was all over the news yesterday, but the New Brunswick Today show was the very first outlet to bring you that controversial video on our program. That was Tuesday. It was our most popular episode yet. And I was really proud to be interviewed last night on Chasing News. That is a program that has had me on many times. I'm a friend of their show, and they're a friend of this show. And that video is going to be available a little later today on YouTube. So watch for us to share that on our social media channels later today. And please follow Chasing News as well. But just one last time, we wanted to take a moment to show you that viral and controversial video obtained from the alley. That's a video that's been viewed more than 105,000 times now on our YouTube channel alone. Here it is.
No, I can't drink that right now. All right?
And now we're joined by Jennifer Goldberg, who brought you that viral video on our show Tuesday. She's been covering the trial of former Perth Amboy Police Chief Benjamin Ruiz, and she has some big news to report. I'm going to hand it over to you, Jennifer.
Okay. So the trial of Benjamin Ruiz versus the state of New Jersey concluded under the Superior Court Justice Diane Pincus that Benjamin Ruiz was actually found not guilty on all charges as of Tuesday, September 20th. A 14-member jury came to this conclusion after closing arguments were made that Tuesday. Perth Amboy Police Chief Benjamin Ruiz faced charges of 2 counts of official misconduct, alongside charges of witness tampering and theft of services. Benjamin Ruiz was arrested in December 2014 and indicted 2 months later in February 2014. Prosecutor Christine Marie Delia argued the case that Ruiz used public funds to pay for mechanical work on his own personal vehicles, which included a personal motorcycle, a 1965 Classic Mustang, and his friend's personal vehicle. These alleged charges occurred between December 8, 2013 and July 29, 2014. She noted that this case was about the abuse of power, plain and simple. Ruiz's defense attorney, Brian J. Neary, described the indictment as a petty case, where petty situations have been turned into serious crimes. In addition, New Brunswick Today reported that Ruiz is still facing separate, unrelated criminal charges. On May 31st, Ruiz was arrested on unrelated charges of trespassing and impersonating a police officer, after he was confronted by the owner and employees of a convenience store on Smith Street. According to a press release from the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office, Ruiz had been confronted at the store several times between February 1st and May 18th and suggested he was there to watch an unidentified neighbor. He was released under his own supervision following the arrest. Ruiz's court hearing will commence on September 29th.
Thanks so much, Jennifer, for that enlightening report. Tell us, you actually sat in on some of the testimony and some of the case there. What kind of vibe did you get? Did you feel like the jury reached the proper verdict here? Did you think that the defense had a strong case?
I do think that the prosecutor made a strong case. There were actually 3 videos that were obtained, 2 of which were actually from inside and outside the police garage, which were the cameras of the police garage, and they actually showed the city mechanics working on these vehicles. And then there was another video that was actually taken by a mechanic himself, Miguel Garcia, and he took a video of the mechanic of Angel Velez actually working on one of the
This is like a classic
vehicles.
car.
Yeah.
Ben Ruiz apparently is a big car guy. He owns a very classic car, and it was involved in a Christmas Day parade where it broke down, and then they took it to the city garage, and that's kind of where these allegations came from, is that the prosecution saying that he shouldn't have been getting work done on his car at the city garage.
Yeah, so basically they said that city mechanics should not be working on personal vehicles, period. I guess the Neary made a good, defense, and so I conclude that he is non-guilty on all charges.
Yeah, so very interesting stuff. The jury didn't take long to reach this conclusion. The trial was very, very long, but it just took a matter of hours for them to come to that conclusion. But tell us about these other charges he's facing. Benjamin Ruiz, while he was suspended for this first set of charges, was apparently accused of impersonating a police officer. How did that happen?
Well, he was, while he was suspended without pay in December, I believe, he was outside of a convenience store, and he was claiming that he was still an active police officer, and in fact he wasn't, and so that's where that charge comes from.
Very strange. So he was kind of, they wanted him to leave, and he was saying, no, I'm here on official police business, when he really didn't have any business.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we'll be covering that trial right across the street. Thank you so much, Jennifer Goldberg, for joining us this morning and putting out this very important news.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. And thanks for your help with the show.
Yes.
Jennifer is one of the people who's helping with the show, and so you can feel free to get back to running our teleprompter here. And thank you, Jennifer. You'll be expecting to see a lot more of her on our program as we continue. But on Tuesday, we brought you another very important story. New Brunswick Today's Carlos Ramirez had a very important story on courtesy busing in New Brunswick. Parents came out en masse to that night's Board of Education meeting, complaining that they did not receive notice that their children would no longer enjoy free bus service to New Brunswick Middle School, and that those kids would be forced to traverse dangerous intersections and neighborhoods, even in bad weather, and sometimes without the aid of crossing guards. Now, the school district finally explained its reasoning for taking away the service that has traditionally gone above and beyond the state requirements. So the district, even though its written policy said it would only meet these state requirements, they offered this busing additionally on top of that. So while they used to provide free busing for students who lived more than 1.5 miles or from the middle school, and that was just how it was done. But now they're doing the bare minimum. Only students 2 miles or more get that free ride. That's the concept of courtesy busing, would be providing it to folks who were not technically entitled to it under the law. Now, of course, that change caught many parents off guard, and those parents are concerned about how their kids will be able to get to school once it gets colder and darker, and when the sidewalks are icy or wet. 2 miles is a long way to go. And members of several local groups, including Unity Square and the Esperanza Neighborhood Project, were at that meeting. We learned that 34% of New Brunswick kids between age 10 and 14 who live in the Unity Square or Esperanza Project neighborhoods will be affected by this change, are being affected by this change right now. And today we're fortunate enough to be joined by a community leader in New Brunswick, Teresa Vivar. She is the founder and executive director of Lazos America Unida, and we are going to show you her remarks. She was the first person to speak up at the Board of Education meeting on Tuesday, and she had a lot of important things to say, sticking up for the parents and the kids, and also sticking up for this New Brunswick Today newspaper. So here's that video. We'll be right back with Teresa Vivar.
Things and make us believe that we believe in our mission. Members of the board, we believe, we as fathers, we believe we protectors of this children's education, and therefore
Welcome to the New Brunswick Today show. We are now joined by Teresa Vivar, a good friend and a phenomenal advocate for the Mexican-American community here in New Brunswick. Thank you for being on the show today.
No, thank you, Charlie.
Now, tell us first off, what is the mission of your organization? What is it that, why is the work you do so important?
Well, as you mentioned, our first priority is to really advocate for our community and encourage them and help them to be part of this society, basically, through different venues and to really take them out of the shadows, make other people realize that we're here. It's basically our mission.
Right, and so New Brunswick is home to an enormous community from Mexico. Tell us about that community. What parts of Mexico do folks come from, and why do they come to New Brunswick?
Well, the majority of the people come from the states of Oaxaca, Guerrero, and Puebla, South Mexico, which is the poorest states of Mexico. And New Brunswick is a good place to live, or is a good place to live. I mean, we have We are called a health city. We have all the resources here, beautiful resources. And I think people from Mexico see an opportunity to contribute to this place as well. And I think we like this city. We love this city.
Right, and so tell me, about the Board of Education and how have they been at dealing with the tremendous number of immigrants in the school system, and more specifically, how are they dealing with the parents who often don't speak English or aren't familiar with New Jersey?
I mean, the problem with the Board of Education is like very, very, very simple. For many years, even before Mexicans came into the, into the city, the majority were Puerto Ricans and African American, right? So for many years, they didn't have, the Board of Education never had people behind them and remind them or asking questions, etc. So they are accustomed to use, do what certain people told them to do. Nobody from the community asked them or, made them realize what they're doing. And suddenly, I think what is happening right now is that they feel threat about your newspaper, the way that you see, awakening people, telling them, what exactly is happening. The community is awakening as well. The Mexicans, and not only the Mexicans, but Dominicans, etc., all the Latino community is now realizing that it's important for them to be there at the Board of Education meetings and ask questions. And they don't like to be asked. They don't like to be
Apparently
criticized.
not, yeah. I think the board members are not really respectful of people who come to that microphone and give criticisms or questions. But that didn't stop people from coming this week. Talk about this issue of the busing and how important it is for the parents. And you really touched on the issue of communication, how this wasn't communicated.
And that's what I said, because he said that for many years the Board of Education members never had people asking questions, and now we have that situation changing, and they take decisions for us. They always take decisions, close doors, and then they tell you what is good for you. And that's not a good type of leadership. It's not the thing that we should do. When the moment that they knew that we have a problem, the moment that they knew that transportation is affecting whole New Jersey because of the debt that we have, why don't call the parents to let them know how they took the decision to take 400 children affected by this lack of buses?
Yes.
So how they choose, or how, it worries me that they think they have the right to choose who children are going to be affected, who children are not.
Right.
And that's sad. What parents want is, at least that we're looking for from them, is to be called before, send them a letter or something to those children. I mean, the parents of these children, call them and say, this is the situation, this is what is happening, what we can do as a community members, organizations, etc. All of us should work together to find solution to this problem. Instead, what they did is just to tell them, and also in the meeting, they told us that even if we complain, even if they never sent a letter before to aware of word the parents about the issue, it's not going to be transportation. No matter what you do, it's not going to be transportation for your kids. That's the answer that they give us, and it's not right.
Yeah, and I think that you really touched on some important points in your remarks there at the Board of Education meeting, because our reporter Carlos Ramirez, he asked the parents, he said, raise your hand if you got a letter about this, because they said, oh, we sent letters to everybody. No one had received the communication, so they really, it appears they didn't spread the word, or they just let people figure it out, and it really inconvenienced a lot of parents. Parents were saying that they had to pay for private transportation, or had to be late to work, or deal with these things. You're a parent. You had kids go through the school system. Tell us about that. The challenges that are faced by mothers and fathers in this community when it comes to losing transportation.
60% of our population are single mothers. Therefore, they gotta go to work in order to pay the bills. I mean, living in New Brunswick is not something cheap. Everybody knows it's expensive, and so if we want to have these mothers, be able to work in order to pay the high, or prices on rent, etc. And we, at the last minute, we let these mothers without transportation for their children. Of course, you jeopardize not only the well-being of the kid, in terms of transportation, but also how these families are gonna pay, or these mothers are gonna pay if they don't go to work. Because it's true, we have to look for taxis, or for somebody can help us, give us a ride for the children, or something else to the last minute. So it's a huge problem. It's not enough safe transportation for these children, and that's what I think mothers are worried about.
Yeah, and so obviously it's concerning for a lot of reasons. One would be that if you make it hard for the kids to get to school, it's less likely they're going to get there, and attendance.
And remember that in the meeting, these parents who told them this is going to happen.
Right.
You want to see less and less children in the schools when the bad weather comes, which is winter, because they're going to be unable to go to school on time. And they remind the Board of Education that might be the chance, or big chance, that they want to get letters. Parents are going to get letters because the children are going to be late, or
right,
they want to be
late or not showing up. And then for me, I think it's a big issue is how are they going to get home safe? Because you might be able to arrange that ride in the morning and get them a ride to make sure they get there, but it can be dangerous walking through some of these neighborhoods, especially if you're not from that neighborhood and you have to walk 2 miles to get home. Talk about the safety of New Brunswick, and should parents be concerned about their kids being able to walk that?
We have already people complaining about the safety issues, fights, or children being threatened by certain people. Use the walking for. You see small children. That's what it worries me, because I saw small children walking alone. Again, remember, single mothers, so they don't have enough people to take care of those little kids. And even they mentioned in the board meeting, they mentioned that there is police officers and guards, etc., crossing guards people. It's not enough. There is streets that are lacking of those services, and therefore the children are exposed to dangerous places. Just walking. What about these small children that I don't want to be walking in the snow when that time comes? It's going to be bad.
Yeah, if we get even a little bit of snow, a 2-mile walk, you're going to just inevitably be walking on a lot of ice. We do have some questions from our audience. Director Jay, who's?
So the overall kind of vibe from a lot of these questions, Sonia asked, is it because there's a shortage of buses that they're cutting down on the routes? And Bob also asked, is the city of New Brunswick not receiving enough funds from the state for a public school system? So after the meeting, what was the overall reason why they're cutting back on the buses?
Great questions, and so this was the first chance for us to really get some answers from the board. I actually ran into Administrator Janro right there at the corner, and I walked up to him and asked him for his explanation. He didn't want to give it to me. He said he'd come to the board meeting. So we went to the board meeting. We got him to go on the record and finally explain that the main reason is money. They're cutting back, and I thought it was really interesting that at the same time they're cutting service from these 400 children at the middle school. They have been forced to add service for all the students who would be attending the Paul Robeson Community School. That's a school that's under construction right now in the 2nd Ward. It's been around for a while, but they're upgrading it. And so the students that would normally go there are being bused to a warehouse. No joke, an actual warehouse that's been converted into a school in Van Dyke Avenue. So all the students need buses now. Many of them might not have needed those buses because it's a neighborhood school. So basically that's just they just took from one group and gave it to the other group. And I think what's really shameful is they tried to blame this on the Chris Christie administration. Now, Chris Christie, not a great guy, not a great administration, but the amount of funding that the district is getting for transportation has remained flat, exactly the same for the past 3 years. So they can't blame this on Christie. This is their decision.
That's exactly what I told them. They use. They got administrators because they taking the money without telling us where the money is gonna go. I think they forgot that we as parents of these children are the one, or these children are the ones who's giving all this money, and we trust them to administrate this money for the well-being of the students. I mean, for the well-being of these kids. I don't understand why they choose, as I said, to give to certain children certain money and take it away from the others, instead of calling us and ask us. Or, I mean, or at least give us the opportunity to ask questions before they took this decision. They didn't.
Right, there was no public process whatsoever. They didn't say we're short on money this year, we're going to have to decide what routes to keep or not. They just pulled the trigger and left the community to deal with it. So tell me, what do you think we can expect from the community? Are we going to continue to see people coming to these Board of Education meetings? I sure hope so. It gets lonely there sometimes.
And these words I want to say in Spanish because I have some people who watching this in Spanish. Queridos padres, ustedes tienen que continuar yendo a las juntas de educación, haciendo las mismas preguntas. En la presencia, con su presencia ustedes pueden cambiar lo que está pasando en la ciudad de New Brunswick. Si ustedes continúan asistiendo, ellos van a seguir considerando sus necesidades, las necesidades de los niños. Because it's very important for the parents to go to these meetings. I mean, the most that the Board of Education is seeing the parents going to these meetings, they're going to stop acting as we don't exist and taking decisions for themselves about our children's future. I mean, I'm encouraging people from the community. I want to do more videos, and I want to ask people to continue going. This type of leadership that the Board of Education is accustomed to has to change. I mean, we want to be, for all residents in New Brunswick, we have to demand more transparency about how the money has been used. Because again, regardless of the migration status of everybody, we pay taxes, and those monies has to be well used for everyone. I don't think it's just for the Latino kids or for the African Americans. It's for everybody, and it's important not only the Latinos but African American groups, all the people that has children in the school to attend these meetings and ask questions. And I appreciate that you do that because the way that you writing and asking questions, people in the community is taking the initiative. I think we stop being afraid of going to those meetings because remember the way that you've been treated. They mistreated us as well for many years.
And I noticed only recently, finally, after years of pressure, they've arranged to have live translation available for parents who prefers to hear in Spanish. There's live translation done now, so that's a step in the right direction. We've been pushing them to allow more transparency, and we've some of our videographers have been attending the meetings and documenting the meetings. But this is a board that really is not used to being in the public light.
Exactly.
They prefer to leave the public out, and New Brunswick State's trying to change that, and so is your organization too. So thank you for your hard work and dedication to this cause. Is there anything else you want to say, or anything you want to promote?
Again, I want to ask all the people who is watching us to continue asking questions. I think we have to wait. The situation in the United States is very bad. Our ethics and civic engagement is very is necessary for this critical moment that we're confronting in general. And, I think it's the moment that we have to protest. We have to remind the people, the politics and the governments and everyone that they're not alone, that we also count. And I think the elections are coming, and I think people have to raise to vote. We have to change what is happening, or our future is going to be very bad. I mean, in general, people think that we are alone. People think that certain races are wrong, but it's not true. We are in the same boat. We have to think that as citizens, we have to be responsible with our future by asking questions, by protesting when it is the right time, because injustice is injustice regardless of who is affected or not. And I think the less we do in those terms, if we let these politics or these committees or these people in power to do their own way, everybody's gonna suffer. Everybody. It's not just one population, it's all of us. And I think it's a time to think about it and And I think what is happening in general in the news, all this discrimination of our races, all this situation is crazy. We're going backwards. And I think we have to think what great nations we are, and we should take that as our goal, to stop hating each other, to stop disrespecting each other, as the way they respect you in the board meeting. Oh my God,
Yeah,
it's
oh boy.
comical.
You got to watch the video on New Brunswick Today YouTube channel. Watch how the Board of Ed president treats members of the public.
Terrible.
A little small child wanted to speak at the meeting. No, she said. And then, oh boy, she had strong words that we shouldn't say on this broadcast.
Yes, it's bad.
She
So
had
we
to say
have
to
to
me.
stop that. But as I said again, you go to these meetings, and instead of be silent, and instead of be, like a sheep, just listening and don't say nothing, these people is gonna decide for you. And I think it's not right, because we have conscience as well, and we have, as you said, this is a country of free speech and a country of good people. So we have to highlight that part, and I think it's our moment. I mean, my community gotta stop. I mean, we are not going to continue letting them do what they're doing and make them think that they're only ones educated or with this, the only ones that they have the right to decide for us. The community is not gonna let them do that anymore. I think we are not afraid anymore to say what we have to say. We know our value. We know how we contribute to this country, and we want to stand up. And I'm asking all of you youth that you're watching us to go out, register to vote, and remember the way that they're mistreating you at the meetings, the way that they've been against your parents or yelling at you because you're young and they think that you don't have knowledge enough to contribute to the society. You have to register to vote, and when the time comes, when these people run again to be elected, take them out. Put somebody that has the willingness to comply with the mission and vision of the New Brunswick Public Schools or with the city government. If they're not willing to do so, it's a time for you to take them away. Because the voters are the ones who can choose who they want them to manage everything and wherever you live. And I think that's my point. The most that we are active, the most that we stop being afraid of active, the better it's gonna be for all of us. And I think that's what I'm gonna say thank you, because for years, since you were a student, you have that path, and I think you have been contributing more and more to wake the public, and that's important. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and very strong words from Teresa Vivar. Couldn't have said it better myself. Register to vote. You can register to vote if you're a U.S. citizen and you're going to be 18 before the November 8th election, but you have to register 3 weeks before that election. So that's deadline is coming up next month in October. So make sure you register to vote. Make sure you get active. These school board members are now elected. That's something we fought for, to force them to have elections in the first place, and hopefully we'll see some changes very soon. Please stay up on Teresa and her work at Lazos America Unida. Stay up on New Brunswick Today. We're going to have another show for you next week. We are going to leave you today, though, with some video from that Tuesday Board of Education meeting. Which clip is this, Jason? Is this
you?
This is okay. So this is me addressing the Board of Education about a number of issues, including this controversial busing change that was made by the district. Thank you so much, Teresa. Thanks to our staff and crew here. Thank you, Jennifer Goldberg, for your great reporting. And we'll see you next week on the New Brunswick Today Show.
I have to ask, in light of all this, there's an obvious market for private transportation for students. And I wanted to ask, is anyone on this board involved in any transportation businesses that service students attending the New Brunswick Public Schools?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, Madam Chair, could you please ask Board Member Varela if She is involved.
Excuse me?
I'm asking
You direct your questions to me?
Yes, through the chair, I'd like you to allow her to answer the question, Ms. Varela. Can you ask her if she is involved in an unlicensed business transporting children to and from the schools in New Brunswick?
No.
I think that does not inspire confidence. I think that if there is a board member who stands to benefit from having less,
I answered your question. Now I want to listen to your comments.
well, you don't have to.
I answered your question, so you make sure
This is a public
you
comment period.
indicate in your article that I answered the question.
No, you refused to let Ms. Varela answer the question, is what you did. The question was simple. All issue.
I answered.
She answered no. Okay, Tommy, please. She answered no.
Ms. Varela answered no.
Yes, through the chair, she said no.
Okay.
No one in this board has any interest in transportation.
Okay, can you please ask Madam Chair?
Any interest in any transportation companies, okay?
Through the chair, can you ask Ms. Varela if any of her immediate family members are involved in a business, an unlicensed business transporting children to and from the schools in New Brunswick?
You're out of order.
That's a fair question.
It is not.
It would be a total conflict of interest, wouldn't it? If true? Or does this board?
No, there's no conflict of interest. No, you're wrong and you're out of order, please.
Okay, I'm sad that we went through the whole thing with the security guards and the violence in the schools, and we were promised retraining and comprehensive. If you stop interrupting me a little quicker, I'm asking. I've been attending all these things. I haven't heard any updates on what's been done to change the security policies, change the way that the district deals with violence. Has anything actually happened, or is this like the lead in the water where you promised to do something and didn't follow through?
The lead and the water.
Yeah, I believe
We have been cited
that they were taking a proactive approach and that
We have
they actually
been
addressed some of the families that were below 15 parts per million. Can you ask Mr. Ladoci, did they ever do that, like he said?
I don't know what they are.
Mr. Ladolce said that the district would be proactive, they were going to actually address some of the causes that didn't meet that 15.
All of that's been completed. It's been corrected.
Those are the ones.
Congressman Pallone came to personally highlight the work that New Brunswick had done. However, his comments were not accurately reported in any news media. Now the state is using New Brunswick's method for correcting problems with the water source.
I'm just saying the district should keep true to not just what the laws require, but what you're
We
saying.
always exceed what the laws require.
Well, Mr.
And that was my original suggestion, and that's what we have done.
Well, Mr.
And we do have a testing program that is implemented.
And what do you do about the faucets that are at 14? What's the basis for
What
15 being the
faucets?
threshold? Is there a scientific basis for 15 being the threshold, or is that just
It
arbitrary?
exceeds the EPA standard.
Right, and so many people are questioning that EPA standard. And Mr. Ladolce said that the district was going to be proactive, they were going to go above and beyond, and they were going to
We already
address
have.
the faucets that are above 10 or he said, we're going to look at those other ones too. Did he? Can you just ask, did he do anything? Did he keep his word?
We evaluated all faucets.
Right, and did he?
We tested everything. I don't know why you continue along this line of questioning.
Well,
Recite.
can you tell me, did
And
you
your 5 minutes.
decide to do this before or after the
Before.
request filed by a newspaper seeking the test results? Did you do it before or after we asked to see the results?
No, you didn't have to file an open request request, because if you hadn't been so argumentative and combative the evening that you were questioning me, you would have heard me say, I'm not giving you the results because we will notify parents and staff first, and we will post the results on our website. But you switched over there and felt like you had to submit a request. We do not respond to threats.
And there's no threats here. I'm speaking of an open request filed by Daniel Munoz in March, where he filed it, and that's when we started saying
to file it. We already had made the decision to post.
That's simply not true. I'm
Your
speaking
5
about
minutes
a
is up.
request that inspired you to actually do the testing. The district was not doing any testing, did not have plans to do testing until a reporter filed a records request asking to see the most recent test results for it.
5 minutes is up, you're out of order.
It's a shame you call yourselves proactive. It's a shame.